Fab. I'm just going to wait, Steve, a couple of minutes. People might be able to see us having a chat anyway. So, but I just want to make sure we are live, and I think we are. So, good morning, everyone. It is Friday, the 31st of July, 2020, 10:40 in the morning. And apologies, we're late, but it's not our fault, was it, Steve? We were on time. We were on time. We were here. We were ready to rock and roll. And yeah,
I think Zoom was put in lockdown by Mr. Hancock this morning because it's coming from Blackburn. That's what's happening.
That's very true. That, you know what, that could have happened. Oh my gosh! Imagine though. Imagine if they actually did that.
It's possible. It's possible.
Because you're right. This is being live streamed from the best town in the entire world, Blackburn.
Good they've had to shut it off.
Thanks for that, Steve. Thanks for the gentle reminder. So, good morning, everyone. It's Jaffer here
everybody.
With the wonderful. Okay, I'll just say it, Steve. I thought you were going to say Steve yourself, but I just thought, yeah. I thought I'd build it up. I thought I'd build it up and go the wonderful, magnificent, magnanimous, and then you'd go Steve. Nice and gently and calmly, and people would.
Yeah, we need rehearsal on this.
Anyway, again, everybody. Apologies, we're late. Sorry, Steve, you were saying?
I was going to say Eid Mubarak again.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I noticed the haircut, which is very sharp, very smart, and the shirt, fantastic.
So this shirt I absolutely love. I went to South Africa a couple of years ago with our good friend Buzz. Our good friend Buzz. And it just caught my eye straight away, and I just thought I need to get one of them. So and it was from a kind of a very Arabian-ish market, so Arabian/African market, and it just felt really, really nice. But thank you so much for the well wishes. And yep, what a
oh, you're welcome. It's just a shame you've gone to all that effort. You can't move out of that room for about 6 months, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah. It's. Shall we get started, Steve? I could do with a bit of I could do with a bit of an energizer this morning. I'll be completely honest.
Okay. Well, look. Let's do the 4-stage
tune up.
Tudor thing we did the other week. I don't know what to call it. 4-stage hookups. I don't know. Anyway, listen. If you've got something to drink, have a drink now.
Have a drink now.
And you might want to do this on your feet, or you might want to sit down. It doesn't matter. I'm going to do this first bit sitting down. So what you need to do is just find your brain buttons, which are, if you imagine that's my collarbone, well, it is my collarbone. And just above it, either side, sorry, just below it, either side, the two little hollows. So get your hands like a pistol and give it a rub. Someone is hammering on my door.
I was just going to say that.
I don't know who. Okay. When you've done that, cross over and do the other side. That's great. Okay. Now I'd like you to stand up.
Stand up.
And if you just do some of that cross exercises.
Ooh, the cross exercises are always a bit. So yeah.
Yeah. So it's
got
left
this.
Arm, right leg, right arm, left leg. Do that for a moment. I think I might have locked my partner out of my house.
Oh.
Back in a sec.
I'll keep going, Steve. I'll keep going. Hello, and Max and Julia and Tony. Good morning. So yep, just these cross lateral movements that we're doing. Oh, clearly hand-eye coordination wasn't great there. Let's keep going. Ooh, this is quite the workout. And I hope everyone who's watching is joining in. Please do. It's a nice way to get your morning started. Lovely little energizer. Oh, I think I might just stop. I am so unfit, it is unreal. Fab. Just wait for Steve to come back. I literally just stopped 10 seconds. I literally stopped 10 seconds ago, Steve. So I don't want you to think like I've since you've gone. You can, honest to God, you can ask the viewers. I literally stopped 10 seconds ago.
I don't know what's going on there. I thought I'd locked somebody out, and in fact, it was somebody delivering a parcel. And it felt like the siege of Stalingrad, the noise that was going on downstairs. So anyway, thank you for doing that. The next bit, we're going to do the crossover thing. So if you would stay standing up, and I'll guide you through this next bit. We're going to do something called logical levels. So you could do with a little bit of space in front of you. And just stand up. And if you want, you can cross your arms over like this. So right over left or left over right, doesn't matter. Thumbs facing up. Turn them so your thumbs face down. Interlink your fingers. And then you can either bring your interlocked hands up to your chest, or you can leave them on your lap. And yeah, that's great. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through a little exercise called logical levels that was invented, I think, by an NLPer called Robert Dilts. And it's dead useful. It's a really nice way of examining the different ways that we look at how we experience our lives. And there are 6 different levels he proposes. And by giving attention to each one in turn, then what happens is we can work out what's going well, work out where we need to focus our energy and attention, and just get more out of how we live our lives. Is that a fair summary there, Jaff?
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Cool. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is just take a moment as you're stood or sitting there, and you might just want to take a couple of deep breaths, just to relax you and hopefully to re-energize yourself after all that energy that you spent on the exercise. So just a couple of breaths. And when you're ready, I want you to think about just something that you're going to be doing over the next few days, over the weekend. And so taking that thought with you, I want you to step into the area that I'm calling environment. It's about who you're going to be with, where you're going to be, when you're going to be there. So if you've got plans for the weekend, just focus on those for a moment. Think about what's going to be happening. So I know, Jaff, you're thinking of spending a lot of time with your family and also with me as well this weekend. We're doing some work together. Okay, and when you've got that, take a small step forward into a separate area, and this is called the area of behaviour. And the question here is, well, what exactly are you going to be doing when you're in that environment, when you're actually putting those plans into practice? So just notice in your mind's eye what you're going to be noticing, what you're going to be doing, what you might be hearing, how you might be feeling. And when you've got that, take another small step forward into the level of skills and capabilities. So here it's a little bit different. In behaviour, we were asking what we're going to be doing. Skills and capabilities are how we're going to be doing it. So what are those personal qualities? What are those personal gifts and charisms that we have that carry us into that area? How will we make a difference? And when we've got that, I want you to take a step forward and start thinking about the beliefs and values that will come into play as you use your skills and your behaviours in the environment that you've imagined for yourself. Beliefs and values are very, very powerful. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about those in a few moments. They're basically the things that allow us to do the stuff that we do and prohibit us from doing the things that we don't. And when you've done that, take another small step forward into the area that we'll call identity. This is about who am I? Who am I? How would I describe myself in that environment using those behaviours and skills and with the beliefs and values that I hold? So maybe just think about 2 or 3 statements about who you are. I am a whatever it is, a footballer, a cricket fan. I am an NLP, whatever it is. And when that's okay for you, what I'd like you to do is take a final step forward into the area that you might call connection or spirituality, and it's all about what's my place here? How do I fit in with the broader universe, if you like, ultimately? What have I learned? Perhaps from other people that have gone before me, going the same path. What is my place in all that? How do I see myself? And when you've done that, take another couple of deep breaths and come and have a seat. If you stood up, and if you're not, give your head a wobble, wave your arms out a little bit. And I think, Jaff, you've got a story for us.
I have. Well, thank you so much for that, Steve. That was absolutely wonderful. And you're right, I'm spending a weekend with yourselves, which is going to be delightful, doing some amazing NLP. And that just really put me in the mood. That just, you know, just amplified that mood and that buzz that I already had.
Good.
Not buzz as in your friend, buzz as in...
No, a different buzz.
A different buzz. Fab, so story time.
Yeah.
And as always, I'd like you to just get a little bit comfortable. So just remember what it was like when you were told stories growing up. So maybe you want to adapt a similar posture. You might want to keep your eyes open or your eyes closed. It's absolutely fine either way. And with that, I'll begin. This story is called The Littlest God. It was not long after the gods had created humankind that they very soon realized that they had made a huge mistake. The creatures that they created were so adept, so skillful, so full of curiosity and the spirit of inquiry that it was only a matter of time before they would start to challenge the gods themselves for supremacy. To ensure their preeminence, the gods held a large conference to discuss the issue. Gods were summoned from all over the known and unknown worlds. The debates were long, detailed, soul-searching, and lasted well into the night. They were all unanimous about one thing. What differentiated the gods from the mortals that they had created were the differences between the quality of resources they had. While humans had their egos and were concerned with the external material aspects of the world, the gods had spirit, soul, and an understanding of the workings of the inner self. The gods realized sooner or later the humans would want some of that too. And so the gods decided to hide their precious resources. The question was where? This was the reason for the length and passion of the debates at the great conference of the gods. Some suggested hiding these resources at the top of the highest mountain, but it was realized that sooner or later the humans would scale such a mountain. And the deepest crater in the deepest ocean would be discovered, and mines would be sunk into the earth, and the most impenetrable jungles would give up their secrets. And mechanical birds would explore the sky and space, and the moon and the planets would become tourist attractions. And even the wisest and most creative of the gods fell silent, as if every avenue had been explored and found wanting. Where on earth could they hide these precious resources? And then the littlest god, who had been silent until now, spoke up. Why don't we hide the resources inside each human? They'll never think to look for them there. And with that, that is the littlest god.
That's a lovely story.
Absolutely
well,
wonderful.
We chose that story for a reason, didn't we?
Absolutely. And you know what, although we started this session by going, we need to rehearse this a little bit more, we do genuinely rehearse most of it. It's probably the opening that we need to work on, so we'll do that for next time. But we do. And yesterday when
ban people from our front door
and just get together and kind of work out, okay, who's going to say what at the start and what not. In saying that though, we catch up every single Thursday for half an hour, 45 minutes. And we have a natter about what we're going to chat about, and yesterday was so insightful, So insightful.
Because we weren't talking directly about NLP. We just started nattering, and I think we had the same idea about the same time. And because we've been talking about Eid, and we've been talking about family, and we've been talking about pilgrimages as well, haven't we? And we thought, well, we're just thinking about, I wonder if it's worth just thinking about how NLP applies to religious beliefs. And that's kind of the rabbit hole that we disappeared down. And we thought we'd share some of the stuff that we came up with you guys this morning. So we hope it'll be useful. And hopefully, you know, there'll be your own insight that we really strongly invite you to share with us. Because, well, we just love disappearing down rabbit holes that are NLP related. So one of the things that we came up with was we decided we think about these sessions that we're doing in terms of applied NLP. So how do we apply NLP to different areas of our lives? And so we chose religious belief. We thought we'd start small and, you know, get onto the really meaty stuff
later on down the line. We've got plenty of time.
Maybe in a few months. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, again, for me, Steve, it was really wonderful in that it was so natural and it was so organic, our conversation. You know, like you said, we started off talking about family, and then you kind of mentioned, or I mentioned, one of us mentioned it was going to be Eid today, and we started having that conversation. And for me, it just naturally one thing led to another. And I remember relaying the story to you, which I'll share with the guys now, about my experience with trance, really, and with kind of this whole concept of that wonderful line in NLP: your unconscious mind is benevolent. Your unconscious mind is benevolent. And, you know, we often talk about, well, in my religion anyway, we often talk about God being benevolent and all merciful and all compassionate. And for me, it was just when I came across that concept, the unconscious mind is benevolent, I thought, well, first of all, that goes against the grain of what I've been taught for the last 28 years. You know, how can the unconscious mind be benevolent and God also be? And this, you know, this started to really get to me slightly. And we're both master practitioners. You know, we've mentioned it the last couple of weeks. We've talked with, we've trained with Chris and Glenda Grimsley over at NLP in the Northwest. And I remember, as part of our practitioners program and our master practitioner program, there's a weekend on trance. And so the first weekend came along, and I kind of went, well, I really don't want to do it. I don't want to do this. This is in Jaff's world, the only way you go into trance is through religious activity. And so by going into trance in any other way, and in particular someone taking you into trance, or something quite man-made in my head, was so wrong. So wrong on so many levels, you know. And I had to spend that weekend genuinely not 100% being in it. You know, and I know both of us want to be really authentic and genuine here, and this is the reason we're sharing this story. It's not to say NLP doesn't work, the complete opposite. It's to say at that time I was just not ready to embrace how powerful this stuff could be. And then very quickly, so that those 2 days went by, and I kind of went, I kind of went in and out of trance, and it was great and all that kind of stuff. And we got to the master practitioner program, and there was another weekend on trance. And I pulled Chris to the side, and I said, Chris, I think I should sit this one out. And he said, well, first of all, you can't sit anything out. You know, you won't be able to certify it otherwise. And second of all, what's your reason? And so when I explained kind of my thinking, and then actually the unconscious mind, I'm not disputing it's not benevolent, but you know, when you've learned about Freud in college, and Freud telling you that the unconscious mind was a dirty so-and-so,
cesspit,
was an awful place that you should rarely visit. When you've then had really strong religious beliefs, which I think are absolutely fine and absolutely in tune with many aspects of NLP, well, then it gives you some room to doubt. You know, it gives you some room to doubt. And so kind of having talked that through with Chris, he said, look, just give it a go. Just give it a go and see what happens. It does not mean you will lose all of your beliefs. Far from it. Give it a go and see what happens. And of course, I'm paraphrasing there. And I did, and I genuinely let
So
go,
what
and
happened?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it, Steve. And that was 2017. And that was the year that I went through a really messy divorce. I had to leave Blackburn for a number of months to kind of just get away from everything
It was
here.
a tough time, I remember, for you. Yeah.
And during that time in London, it was a trance that really helped me connect to God. So I'd be led in bed and I'd be thinking, I want to connect to God. I want to kind of connect to my spirituality. How do I do that when I'm not close to a mosque, when I'm not close to any kind of religious people, when I don't even know anyone religious in London? You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm finding it really hard. And how do I connect with the one kind of thing that I know that is so sure? And I'd lie there in bed and I'd kind of do the trance work on myself. And the connection would be fabulous, Steve. That
Great.
connection would be fabulous. And I was just like, wow. Like, you know, why did I, a year or so ago, act as though this is great? And so now, if you were to take me into trance, Steve, I'm there. I love it. I'm like, bring it on. Bring it on. You know, but it was that thing for me. It was just that, unfortunately, we see trance as a very hypnotic, manipulative kind of. I'm not going to mention any magicians' names in particular, but it's a way that actually people see it in the public domain as a way to unfortunately perhaps play with other people and not do it genuinely or carefully or authentically. And then, like I said,
Say a
when
little
you
bit about. Sorry, Jaff, go on.
well, I was just going to say, and then when you went, like I said, when you study psychology at A level, and you hear stuff about Freud talking about the unconscious, and someone's going, well, trust it. You know, trance will take you deeper into your unconscious. It will allow you to bring forth, you know, things that are there, that are naturally there, you know, that have always been there, and actually allow you to work on some of that stuff and get better insight and reflect and explore and all of these wonderful kind of wonderful descriptive words. And I was going,
I
well,
was going to say,
no, I don't want that.
Jaff, sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say, I'm conscious that some of the people who might be tuned in might not be familiar with what trance is in an NLP sort of context.
Oh, okay, yep,
So I was wondering if we should just say a couple of things about it and how it works.
Yep. I'm gonna leave that to you.
Okay, but we'll come back to that because the story is important. I just think it, if people aren't familiar with it, and bearing in mind what you said about sort of stage entertainment, really, about how people, how entertainers use trance techniques and hypnosis techniques to amuse people. And I don't have a problem with that, to be honest. I just think if you're going to a stage show on Blackpool Pier that says, you know, Mr. Mephisto hypnotist, you know exactly what you're signing up for. And there's part of you that wants to be dragged up on the stage to
experience that.
Yeah, to experience it and be told that you can behave like a dog or a chicken or whatever it is. But from an NLP point of view, it's kind of simple. There's the conscious part of your mind and the unconscious part of your mind. The conscious part of your mind is what you're aware of here and now, which is very limited. The unconscious part of your mind is everything else. So if I asked everybody to just think about their birthday now, I'm guessing that unless it's your birthday today, perhaps, and you're wondering what the hell are you doing this morning, that wasn't part of your conscious mind. You had to go and do a little bit of a search around in your unconscious part of mind. Oh, birthday, my birthday, yeah, I know that. And it comes from that almost pre-linguistic. It's not in words until you think about it and you drag it to the conscious part of your mind and say it out loud. Okay, so that's the conscious part of your mind and the unconscious part of your mind. So it's quite simple. So all the experiences that you've ever had, all the learning that you've ever done, all the emotions, everything that you've been through in your life is held. I'm pointing to my chest for some reason. I always think of my unconscious mind being lodged somewhere there. So it's held in your unconscious mind. And what's going on here and now is what you're aware of, and that's the noisy bit. That's the bit that gets most attention. So in trance, what we try and do is to distract the conscious part of your mind so that it makes the access to the unconscious resources that you hold much easier. And if you can do that, it's a lovely way of working with people, because you can make very quick change quite rapidly, and they don't have to say anything about it at all if they don't want to. So it's about, it's about kind of distracting the conscious so that those unconscious resources become more available. And in NLP, what we do is we guide people through processes that kind of facilitate that as well.
And that's so different, isn't it, Steve, for me? Sorry, go on. Oh, you were going to finish there.
No, go ahead, carry on.
I was just going to say that is so different from me, looking at the unconscious in that way, that the unconscious is full of resources and it's full of kind of ways to support you. Then going, your unconscious is basically the demon and the devil, and you don't want to access it, and you never want to go there because it is incredibly, incredibly dangerous. And talking of rabbit holes, you'll end up down a rabbit hole. It's incredibly different. And this is why I love this stuff, because it kind of, you just go, well, I know which one I'd rather think about or believe about the unconscious.
Yeah.
And I might be in a small percentage, but I'm hoping that on the whole, people would go, actually, I'd rather see my unconscious as something that's there to support me, something that's there to keep me safe, something that's there to. So I often talk about it being a little health and safety man, and we all need a little health, or woman.
Yeah.
We all need a little
absolutely.
health and safety person of any sorts, to just guide us through and to go, whoa, dude, hang on a minute, but it's doing it ever so gently, ever so gently and ever so nourishingly, as opposed to, well, if you enter your unconscious, then you're going to be thinking about all sorts of weird and crazy dreams and whatnot, and you're going,
Well, Sigmund Freud actually started his career as working with hypnosis. And then he got lured over to the dark side, and he ended up with this really kind of, I agree with you. I think it's a really unhelpful way of seeing the unconscious part of your mind as being in conflict all the time, as being this kind of almost, I use the word cesspit, but it's like a tip where you put all your junk and you just leave it and try and forget about it so that it doesn't kind of come back and bite you on the bum in the future. And to a certain point, I think that's valid, because if the unconscious mind is everything that you're not conscious of right now, then it's going to include all that. Baggage that we accumulate as we go through life. It doesn't mean to say that you might have a strong urge to have sex with your mum, which is kind of one of the things that
I was trying my hardest not to say that, Steve.
It's out there now. What can I say?
I was thinking, do we really want to be as explicit as that? In some ways we
Probably
do, though.
Not.
But in some ways I think we do, because again it goes back to that thing of, bless him. I think in some ways he was a genius. Genuinely, I think he was a genius. In other ways, I look at him and I think, wow, yeah, And so very quickly finishing my story. I just saw being able to access that unconscious part by going into trance, by distracting, like I said, my conscious part, made my connection to God ever so stronger, mate. And it was phenomenal. It was amazing. And we do it anyway. So within the Islamic culture and within the Islamic religion, should I say, and perhaps in Christianity, we do it. Sufism is a form, I believe, of trance.
Yeah.
Well, it is a form of trance. Not I believe it. It is a form of trance. We have this. We have this thing called.
Sufism, does that include the dervishes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have a thing in Islam called zikr, which is where you're chanting God's name in kind of often in darkness, and often to build that connection. And by chanting his name over and over again, you're in a trance. So we naturally, for me, again, when we go back to the modeling and the difference that makes the difference, for me, none of this is brand new, really. It's just, like you said, we're now applying it to different aspects of our lives.
Yeah, and we should say as well that trans isn't just about religion. We're kind of having a look at religion through the NLP lens, if you like. We could have
Absolutely.
chosen politics.
Yeah.
This is closer to our heart.
I think we should choose politics next week, bearing in mind what's just happened.
You might not be able to use the internet next week in Blackburn. That nice Mr. Hancock has his way. You'll all be locked down.
Oh,
anyway,
fab.
See, I have a kind of slightly different experience because I was brought up in a religious family as well, but I was brought up in a Roman Catholic family, and I don't know. I describe myself as a recovering Catholic in a way because I really miss the community, but some of the beliefs that go with wearing that label of being a Catholic, I really struggle with. So one of the things that when I was learning NLP, and I had a similar experience to you actually, Jaff, because what happened was I was thinking about, do I really want to be associated with this reactionary, repressive, misogynistic organization, and do I really think that this is a way to bring me to God? Because I don't have a problem with God. I mean, we get on all right, you know, but the idea of Catholicism as being a way towards that, I just really started to struggle with. And so kind of a little bit like you, I started using meditation trance as a way of kind of building a sort of a very loose definition would be sort of a prayer life. But yeah, but it also made me kind of really question the organization that I've been a member of at that time for about 48 years, 45 years, something like that. And I've been like the bedrock of my family life. So my mum, who's 93 now, you know, the greatest thing that happened during lockdown was that she discovered that the local Catholic church every week was putting a mass on YouTube. So every week she could attend mass, and it was brilliant for her. Really good. It really helped to get through it. And she is a straight down the line Catholic girl. So if the Pope says it, it's right. So when the previous Pope said, you know, homosexuality is an evil and a wrong, and we have to weed it out and all the rest of it, that was my mum's point of view. The current Pope says, who am I to judge? So guess what my mum's saying? Who am I to judge?
Oh, I love it.
Which, you know, I've been trying to say that to her for quite some time about different issues. So I guess what I'm getting at, it often these conversations often bring me back to beliefs, beliefs about ourselves and where we fit in the world. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do the logical levels this morning, because the fourth logical level is all about our beliefs. The things that permit us to do certain things, the things that prevent us from doing certain things. And those kind of get built up from our earliest childhood, I suppose. And often they're really supportive, they're helpful, they enable us to grow and develop and start reaching our potential. And sometimes they hold us back. And one of the things that I love about NLP is the way that it gives us, if you like, a set of tools in order to have a look at these ones that are holding us back and make decisions about them. Because there was a time when I used to believe that you can't change your beliefs. It's a strong belief, isn't it? And then I started noticing what was happening on the telly, especially when it all went digital all those years ago. And almost every program, every 10 minutes ago, the programs were interrupted by people trying to change how we believe, what we believed about toilet roll or Tesco or whatever, certain types of beer, so that we behave differently in the future when we were in the supermarket and we needed toilet roll. So we believe it's soft, strong, and very, very long. Well, we'll have some of that. Yeah? I haven't really got much to measure it against. But there you go. Do you see what I mean? So some of the and the way that some of the beliefs that we hold kind of act against each other and in conflict with each other, not enable us, but hold us back from kind of developing and reaching our potential, and what we can do about that.
Well,
So
my
if I
story.
have a,
Sorry, go on, Steve.
I was going to say, you know, as a teenager, if I have a belief that by going to church regularly and receiving the sacraments, I'm going to get to kind of eternal reward. That's kind of a positive, hopeful thing to have, I think. But as a randy teenager, being told that I can't use condoms, and that's part of this going to church, and you know, then all of a sudden it kind of sets up all kinds of conflicts, doesn't it? And I kind of, there's part of me regrets leaving like the fold of the Catholic Church, if you like, but also it's set up to fail almost, because there's so many beliefs that we're supposed to sign up to that pull in different directions, and it seems to me that none of them seem to lead towards God. There you go.
That's really
That's
interesting.
my sermon for the week.
Well, I was going to say that's really interesting, because and this bit is not scripted. So this last bit, it wasn't necessarily scripted, but we discussed it. We said that we'd have a chat about kind of our experiences with trance and with kind of the unconscious mind and beliefs. That last bit that you just said there, and then I'll bring in some of the comments from the guys, is really interesting, because see, for me, I believed that, Steve. I believe that, especially when I got really into NLP. So for the first couple of years, I really felt as though a lot of what I was learning, or a lot of kind of the way that I brought myself up, so being quite a strong Brit, and when I say strong, I don't mean strong, I mean like identity-wise, really strong Brit. I often felt as though it was in conflict with my religion, often. And interestingly, for me, it's the NLP that's brought it together, if that makes sense. So for me, the NLP has absolutely cemented the kind of the power of my religion, and the fact that I can be a Muslim and a Brit and a Pakistani and all of these different identities that I have, I can do them in one. And often it's by using trance that I can start to explore some of those hidden identities, or some of those things that I'd perhaps forgotten about, or things
and those beliefs as well,
and those beliefs that I'd forgotten about. But you know, so for me, it was almost like there's this wonderful technique in NLP called the Museum of All Beliefs, which I absolutely love. I think it sounds amazing, and it is fabulous. I remember one time doing a process, and it was kind of my current belief was that the kind of the identity I had at the time wasn't compatible with my religion, and in particular with my culture. And actually the belief that I wanted, the belief that I so strongly wished that I had, and knew was deep down in me somewhere, was that all of this was aligned. Going back to theological levels, all of this was aligned. It was in perfect sync with each other. Maybe not perfect, but it was in good sync with each other most of the time. And by doing the Museum of All Beliefs, I managed to get rid of that old belief and take on this new belief. Take it on really strongly, to go a lot of the time. Myself with my culture, my religion, are in alignment. And yeah, there's the odd blip, you know, and whatnot. Most of the time, though, we're pretty solid. And had I had not had NLP, I don't know where I would have been, or what I would be thinking at the minute. So it's really just that last bit that you said there, I thought was really interesting, because for me, it's actually cemented my belief and my conviction and my confidence in my cultural background and in my religious background.
Yeah.
So just it's
Cool.
fabulous. It's and this is what I absolutely love about it, is that it gives you, whilst it's an overarching framework, as with everything, it's such a personal kind of journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
Such a personal
Absolutely.
journey. And so
Absolutely.
I'm just interested. So bearing in mind you grew up as a Catholic, did you have the similar kind of experience that I had with trance? Or did you have the similar kind of thought processes that it kind of
Yeah.
was the devil's work and whatnot, which is how I interpret it. It might not be how it's how I interpret it.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I actually think quite the opposite, in a way, because the Catholic Church, and I don't know if you know, but the Catholic Church is very much about routine, about chanted prayer. When you were talking about chanting the name of God in darkness, there's a really strong tradition, a monastic tradition of groups of men and women kind of going and living in monasteries and organizing their days around ritualistic prayer. And so to me, it's quite an appealing lifestyle, because you 5 times a day, you're dipping in and out of trance, except that one of those times is 2 in the morning. And I'm not really good at that time of the day. So yeah, there's a really strong tradition about harnessing trance in exactly the way that you just described, as about a way of kind of leading us to something, bigger and better. And the church the Catholic Church facilitates that, even to the extent that, the incense, frankincense.
I love,
Smell of frankincense. Apparently, it's a mild narcotic.
Wow. Okay.
That
I was not aware of that.
One of the effects it has is put us into a receptive state where we can kind of access our unconscious mind. Which I was fascinated when I heard that. I was fascinated by that, because I used to be an altar boy, and one of the things. So I used to assist on the altar with the priest, and one of the things we had was this. It was like a big metal bowl on chains that you had to hold.
Yes, I've seen this on the telly.
Frankincense was burning, and I used to spend hours getting high on frankincense. I didn't realize it at the time, but anyway, So it's not explicit, I don't think, in terms of the Catholic Church doesn't talk about it in terms of trance or the unconscious mind, or in psychological terms, but it talks about being as close as we can to God, and so we do that through ritual prayer. Repetition is a big one. And again, if you think about it, if it's ritual repetitive prayer, which is linguistic, then what's happening is our conscious mind is being distracted, while hopefully our unconscious mind is kind of sorting out stuff and, bringing us to, in this case, close to God, or whatever it is.
Or whatever. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And that whole thing about... Sorry, go on.
Go on, I was just going to say again, and we can't say this too strongly, that NLP is not about religion. It's just a way. We're just looking at ways that we can use it if we are members of an organized religion, or if we're just following our own individual spiritualities.
Well, I was going to say, I think someone's really appreciated our honesty. So thank you so much, Julia, because she's written a comment here saying, "Thank you." I can't see it now, but when it did flash up on the screen, it said, "Thank you so much for your honesty," or genuineness, or something along those lines. So for me, I'm hoping that people do get that message, that this is not us going, NLP is religious. It absolutely is not. It is one frame. It's one frame for you to look at it through that. And this session, this podcast might not be for you. That is absolutely fine. Like we said, we thought we'd start with something small and build our way up to something something a bit more meatier. Why not? So I'm just going to read a few more comments. So Tammy just put a laughing face. and I don't know whether Tammy put a laughing face for when you said the thing about Freud, but it was roughly around the time that he said the thing about Freud and his sex with mom and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've said, and I really didn't want to say it, but so Tammy put a laughing face. Tammy, if you want to tell us why you were laughing, if it was that great, if it was something else, fab. Max said, loving today's logical levels. So thank you for that, Steve. And I really, really loved it. I did. I really loved it. I think it was appropriate for me to step through logical levels today. So again, thank you from me, and I loved it as well. So Tony just said trance is the bedrock of a lot of stuff. And sorry, there was someone else before who also said that Tracy Johnson also mentioned how much she loves trance. So thank you very much to Tracy and Tony. And finally, Tony's written here. I was brought up in the Church of England, and I think it screwed me up for many years. I can now separate God or universal connection, spirituality from religion, which subverts the pure teachings of most major religions. I once did logical levels at the end of a 2-year diploma with a whole group. They were Muslim, born-again Christian, pagan, atheist, gay, and straight. When they came to the final level, it was pure bliss. All the differences dissolved. And we often talk about logical levels as the Pen Army Swift knife. Have I said that nice? Army Pen.
Yeah, the Swiss Army pen knife.
That's the one. That's what I was trying to say, and I said it completely wrong. I don't know what I was saying now. I was saying all sorts of other stuff. But it is that, isn't it? Logical levels is that Swiss Army pen knife. It kind of just gives you so much insight about one thing that you're exploring, whether that be an issue or something that's happening that's really, really good in your life. It just
spoiler alert for you, Jaff. Spoiler alert for you. So Jaff and I are going to be working together over the weekend. It's the final module of a NLP practitioner's certificate. And in the final module, what we do is we get people to just strut their stuff and show us what you've learned, and have some fun with it. But there's that idea that they're being assessed and it's kind of heavy duty, and which is fair enough. They are. So one of the ways that we'll be doing in the morning, one of the things we'll be doing in the morning, Jaff, is we're going to do the logical levels of being a great NLP guide, to get to kind of frame it for those people that are going to be demonstrating their skills over the weekend, that they know it.
And I would recommend, so logical levels, NLPers or non-NLPers, I would recommend everyone to do it. Whether you're a teacher, whether you're a doctor, whether you're a psychotherapist, whether you're a youth worker, whatever it is, just take a few minutes at the start of each day, perhaps, and it doesn't need to be every day. I don't know about you, Steve, but I know that before I'm about to start any kind of major training, and again, I picked this up from Chris, our trainer, before I start any kind of major facilitation, any training, any kind of presentation of any sorts, that I know that I'm going to be presenting to a big group of people and I want it to be really, really effective, I just walk through logical levels. And I go, right, what's my environment? What's my behavior? What's my skills and capabilities? What's my beliefs and values? Well, actually, I'm bloody good at what I do, is one of my beliefs. And one of my values is I want to be able to give people really authentic, genuine training. What's my identity? I'm an NLP coach and trainer. And what's my connection? Well, if people walk away, much like this podcast, if people walk away just feeling a little bit lighter, a lot more happier, then we're over the moon. Then I'm absolutely over the moon. So for me, I'd wholly recommend people do logical levels. Wholly recommend it.
Because well, we're both freelance, aren't we? We both do multiple jobs. So my job descriptions at the moment include trainer, so I do the NLP training, therapist, so I work with the homeless young people in Blackpool, youth worker, sometimes teacher, not often nowadays, but so those 4 things. Now, all those things are slightly different. And so before going into work, while the kettle, almost literally while the kettle's boiling, just wandering up and down the kitchen, making sure that I'm in the right headspace to be the best youth worker I can be that day. Amazing. Really, really useful thing to do, really powerful thing to do. And when I'm going to see my 93-year-old mum, just getting into that headspace of being the son of a 93-year-old woman who doesn't always make a lot of sense, who focuses very much on her aches and pains, and who has a very, very rigid, very fixed view of the world that she sees through whatever the Catholic Church is saying, and just kind of getting myself into that sort of space where I can deal with that. And it just does me such a lot of good. So if you're not familiar with it, folks, I really recommend that. Well, we both do, don't we, Jaff?
Absolutely. And have a look at it, message myself or Steve. You can, of course, as always, find us on Facebook. You can find Steve on his website, torchbeam, TAD.com.
www.torchbeam, all one word, TAD, training and development. So it's www.torchbeamtad.com. And if you want, we've got scripts and stuff for things like the logical levels that will give you an idea of how we do it, and then you can use it yourselves.
Play with it. I'll play with it.
And you're welcome to that. So drop us a line, get in touch, and we'll pass it on.
Well, I think that's us done for another week. We haven't had many comments this week. At the same time, thank you ever so much to those who have commented, those who have engaged, those who have interacted. I know that for some people this is a great time, and for others they're back at work and the world seems to be resuming in some way, shape or form, apart from, of course, here in Blackburn. Just has to be us. Thank you ever so much. Thank you, Steve, once again, for being such a lovely call. I love this. I love it. And you're going away in a couple of weeks' time, so you won't be here, which is going to be quite.
You're on a campsite in Norfolk, which sounds lovely.
You could still zoom in from a campsite in Norfolk. I think the views deserve that. Perhaps not. Perhaps let's forget I said that. Because what I realised you were going to say then is, do I want to explain that to Kath? And I probably don't want to explain that to Kath that I made that suggestion. So let's just. I'll take all of that back. Let's pretend I ever said that.
But no, holiday's holiday.
That is very, very true. That is very true. Thank you, Julie. She said fabulous. Thank you to you both. Max, I will put the website on the comments section so that everyone's got a copy, access to Steve's website. So Max was just asking. I'm thinking rather than just saying it, it might be nice just so that people can have it written down as well and they can connect through to it. So thank you very much, Steve. Thank you very much, viewers and listeners. Hoping you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I know me and Steve will be having a wonderful weekend. Dead excited. It's going to be amazing.
That'll be good, chap.
It's going to be amazing.
Nice group.
Thank you so much, everyone. Take care of yourselves, and we'll speak to you soon.
See you soon, folks. Thanks again.
See you later.
Bye.
And I...
Still says we're recording.
Yeah, people are...